Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the best habits for improving at Marvel Rivals. This is going to be very focused for Marvel Rivals, of course, but it can go for pretty much any competitive video game, and if you remove some aspects of it, it can probably go for improving at everything. So this is going to be really loosely formatted. I'm going to say a few things. We'll talk to chat. We'll bring it all in. First things first, I want to talk about consistency. Oh boy, how do you even spell it? Consistency. Consistency is like extremely important. I know a lot of people. Thank you. I know a lot of people will watch a bunch of videos. Watch a lot of videos. They'll practice a ton. They'll play a lot for a week or two, and then they'll drop it. Right. So if you're not consistent, you don't do things long term. It's not really going to help. So the people who tend to rise up the ranks, they're consistently doing small things all the time. Along with that, this is gonna sound interesting, but I'm actually gonna put like control or moderation. A lot of the times what we see in the community is like people burn out really quickly. They do a ton really fast. You can also see this with like when people are grinding ranked, they're like, man, I'm going to get there. I'm going to grind and I'm going to play like 15 games a day. I'm going to go play for 8 hours. I'm going to play for 8 hours. And like they start off well, they win a couple games, and then they just go on like massive losing streaks. And so moderation is like really important, like taking your wins and being done. So if you play like 4 games and you win 2 and you lose 2, it's like, all right, sure, maybe I'll play one more. Now I've lost more than right, so now I'm at 2 and 3. Now it's like, okay, I'm just gonna call it there and play my games. Same thing if you just played 3 games, right? If you win 2, lose 1, it's like, great, I'm done for the day. I made a little positive progress. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna go do something else. You don't want to just sit there and constantly bash your head against the wall. Like that's gonna give you a lot worse results than anything else. So consistency, moderation. I do want to talk about breaks. Breaks are good. Balancing all of these things together is rough. So breaks I want to talk about mostly like in between things. So for a break to be good, I think it really depends on like why you're taking a break. Are you just taking a break because you're bored? Did you burn yourself out? Probably not great. Or is it like, I just lost a pretty rough game. I have all the emotions of the rough game. I'm still thinking about the last game, right? Like, oh, I wish that could have gone different. I should have ulted in this scenario. I wish my supports like saw me in this scenario, something like that. So a small break is good after a loss like that. And then after a big loss streak, sometimes it can be good to take another break. And that would be more of a like long-term break, like a full weekend or a full week where you just don't really think about Marvel Rivals. So what breaks do is they like really reset your brain. So in the short break where I just went on a bad loss, I'm going to step outside. I'm going to go for a little bit of a walk. I'm going to take 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to get some fresh air. Those can help you deal with that emotion of like losing that game, move it into like why I lost the game, and then refocus to where you take the information, right? The useful information. I lost because I moved out of line of sight of my supports. I lost because I didn't pay attention to ult farming or anything like that, right? And then you remove the emotional component. Because the emotional component tells us something wrong. Now we take the information. Now you don't need the emotional component anymore because you've used it to get the information. And then now we can go back in. Once that's dealt with, we're back to a base level, and we could just use the information without the emotions taking over and getting frustrated, right? So that's a good example of small breaks. Now long breaks, long breaks can be used for when Marvel Rivals starts feeling like a second job. Yeah, second job, true. Also, when you're in a rut in Marvel Rivals and you don't quite know what's going on and it feels like you're trying really hard and nothing's really working, sometimes what I find is your brain likes to develop patterns, right? We like to develop patterns. We like to develop habits. And when when you're like in it, you're grinding every day, your brain can develop some really bad habits that are really hard to notice. And so one way of doing that, of breaking out of that, is going to a coach, somebody like me. You watch a VOD review and they're like, hey, I noticed you do this thing, right? You don't stage for your dives. You don't use cover. Other times, you can actually just take a break, and that will naturally break the habit. That will naturally break the habit. And then you'll come back, and then you'll be seeing things with a fresh set of eyes. That can be extremely useful. Or yes, top 500 players? Yeah. What might seem straightforward to one person might look stupid to another. Yeah. Also, checking with people of different roles while doing that is really helpful, because somebody who has a tank perspective will tell you something different than somebody who has a support perspective, even if you play support, right? So I coach a lot of support players, but I play tank because I give them a different perspective. I show them what it's like as a tank player when you take this action. You know, I see different aspects. So that's all part of like taking breaks and like stepping back, right? So 4, we want to talk about maybe even perspectives, changing perspective. Changing perspective. So this is whenever something doesn't work. A really small example of this is I mostly play Hulk, right? Actually, I'll give you a really common example. So a lot of people will play Magneto and they'll be on like this basic poke platform, right? Where everybody's on main. You have your frontline tanks, you have their frontline tanks, you have your backline, you have their backline, right? And everything's split up, ready to go. And you're walking down main. And by the time you even get close, somebody behind you dies. Or you take so much damage that now you have to use your shield. You have to use your bubble. You back up. Okay, now I get my health back. I'm reloading. Okay, I'm going to walk back in. And by the time I get close, I don't have anything to get there, right? So changing your perspective would be like, I see this isn't working, and I'm going to change what I'm doing. A lot of people will just get into the habit of like, well, I'm trying to push forward, but it's not working. I just got to like push forward and make it work. Or I'm not getting healed while I'm pushing forward. Or my DPS need to do something. Like, no, let's take accountability to ourselves and let's change our perspective and be like, okay, let's go in a different way. Let's take a side path, right? Let's go up and around. Let's go to the right. Let's change our targeting. Are we just shooting the Groot that's in front, or are we popping the supports? Are we popping the off-angle Hela? Is there somebody in our backline? Can we hold this and then we all turn on the person in our backline, get the kill, and now we push forward with the 5v6, right? So stepping out and seeing that perspective change is like extremely useful. Stop defaulting. Yeah, that's great. And then that can be like in one game. I'm going to put something really important that goes along with one. This is willing to fail. This is so important. So for my own personal story, I started off this game playing Thing, and I wasn't really taking it too seriously. I was just playing. And then Emma came out, so I started learning Emma, and Emma was really good. And so I started climbing up really fast, right? Then I got to a point around high GM Celestial where Emma started getting banned constantly. Thing wasn't in a great place in the meta, and the maps at the time were also really bad for Thing. So I had Emma and I had Thing, and Emma was getting banned. So I was stuck on Thing and I was losing a lot. And so I was sitting here and I was like, okay, well, I have a couple options. I can go to Mag Jail where I could probably squeeze out some games, even though I'm not having fun. Or I could play Strange and kind of do something similar. Or I can bite the bullet and I can learn Hulk. And I knew at the time that I have no experience on Hulk. I have no real experience with like diving on a tank. And I'm at close to my peak rank right now. So if I do this, I'm going to learn Hulk, I'm going to lose games. And if I didn't make that decision to say, consciously, I said, that's fine, I'm going to lose games, but I'm going to win in the long term, right? And so I did it. I started in quick play, and I learned the basics of the character, and then I quickly moved over to comp, and I started losing a couple games. It took me like a week of losing games with this character to really start understanding the push and pull, right? And then, now, Hulk is my best character, and he's doing great. My win rate's like 68% or something right now with him, and it's fantastic. But if I had never taken that leap and like expected myself to fail and let myself fail, then I wouldn't be in this situation. And you can even do that on like really small things. That's a pretty big thing of like picking up a new character and expecting that. A really small thing is just changing your play style. That goes with like changing your perspective, right? If you're playing, I mean, we saw this, let's see. What's a really good example? If you're playing Magic, right? You're playing Magic and you're playing a very flanky style of Magic where you go on to the side and you drop down and you see the Luna and then you're like, bam, I'm gonna combo the Luna, get in, do my combo, kill her, get out, right? That's your basic thing. And then you do that a couple times, but now the enemy team adjusts, right? And they're like, okay, every time I jump in, now they have a... they have a Luna who freezes me. They have a thing who slams down so I can't get out. They have Mr. Fantastic who pulls me back in or whatever, right? Invis who pulls me back in. And so now it's not working. Instead of bashing my head against that wall, let me try something different. Let me try a soft dive. And let me adjust. And it may not work. I'm in the middle of a comp game. I've never really tried something like this before. Or maybe I'll just try frontlining with Magic. I've never really done it before, but the other thing is definitely not working. So let me try this new thing. And so every time you do that, you're building more pathways in your brain. And if it fails, the best way to think about it is now I have found a way that does not work. So I will not try that in this situation. You also have to test like why it didn't work, right? If I dove on Magic, did it not work because I missed my dash? Or there was a situation that I didn't encounter before that I didn't understand? Was it because I was too slow? Was it because the thing was there and I didn't see him, right? So taking that information from your failures is also like so important. It's like one of the best things you could possibly do. And it's applicable to everything in life. And this goes also hand in hand with breaks. You can even take mini breaks between deaths, right? So you dive in on Magic, you die in the back line while the replay viewer is telling you, or the kill cam is showing you what happened. Don't just be like, that's stupid. Be like, okay, I died because I got frozen. Why did I get frozen? Because of this. And you can do that mid-game. And as you're doing that, and if you say it out loud, your brain will write these paths. And it will be so much easier to improve. I promise you. The next thing I want to talk about is practice. Practice, 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 but not just practice, like very intentional practice. So I'm misspelling that. How do you spell purposeful? Purposeful. Purposeful practice. Muting dumbass teammates. Yeah, for sure. So purposeful practice, you can come in and you can go to Spidey and you can spend 200 hours in the practice range learning all of the tech that I haven't learned yet. I don't really know the Spidey tech. And then you can go in game and be completely useless. You can do the same thing on Captain America. You can learn all of the TikTok combos where you jump in with like... and like just get a kill instantly, right? You can be the best at the world at doing that. But if you don't practice with a specific purpose in mind that's actually useful, then it's not going to do well. So in order to do this, you have to take all the things we talked about beforehand into account, right? So when we were talking about Magic and she dove in and she missed the kill, right? She missed the kill on a Luna. And it was from a different angle. So you take that break mid-game and you say, okay, I missed my dash from up and behind a Luna and she was jumping around. So now I'm going to go into here. I'm going to practice that specific scenario. I have a Luna. She's jumping around. She's very fast, right? I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to go from this angle. And I'm going to practice that exact specific scenario until it's no longer a thing. This is going to be so much more useful, even if you get way less reps than just spamming attacks on a bot, right? It's so much better. So very specific practice, very purposeful. You don't want to spend a ton of time in the practice range just aimlessly running around. You want to learn your specific combos based on something specific. The moment they start whining or being toxic, mute them. Yeah, for sure. Ignoring bad advice. This is actually a huge one in Marvel Rivals. So often, I see people like... We have a series called Am I the Problem? Where they're playing a ranked game, and they were on Captain America, or... I don't know, this happens a lot with like... with somebody like White Fox, right? They're on White Fox, and then they get flamed for playing White Fox, and they're like, that character sucks, like, get off of them. And they don't give constructive criticism. They're not saying, like, anything specific. I've been in games from Silver all the way to Celestial, and even in Celestial, they say things that are just blatantly wrong, because either they don't understand the situation, they can't see what's going on in the back line, or they're just blinded by rage and emotion because they're losing, right? So... just ignore people. Don't get into a pissing match with a skunk. If somebody's like telling you stuff, just mute them and move on. Don't get bogged down and try to be objective, right? Is White Fox a problem? Or can I look at my stats and be like, well, my healing is a little low, and maybe I look at my aiming. Am I aiming down here where I'm losing a lot of my healing? Or am I aiming here, right? So try to take really objective things. I sense them. Secondary point, don't rage bait the assholes. Yeah, it doesn't help. It really doesn't help. I think oh, interesting. Oh, that's another good one. Let's do this. Ignore stats. Stats are a trap. They are a trap 100%. Like, you can definitely get useful information out of the stat screen, right? If you look and you hold up the scoreboard and you look at your own stuff and be like, okay, my accuracy low, my healing numbers aren't as good. There are reasons for that maybe you're not seeing, though. It's so easy to get focused on the wrong things and go down a bad path because of stats. So in general, I would say until you're pretty high ranked, ignore stats. And even if you are high ranked and you're looking at stats, I want you to look at something very specific, right? And compare it to all the other things that we're talking about, right? So let's say I've been really working on my escape routes because I noticed on Captain America that a lot of the times I get trapped in here, right? I get trapped and I don't have my abilities because I've been paying attention to my kill cams, and I'm like, well, why did I die there? Oh, I didn't have an escape route. So I've been really working on my escape route. Now I can pull up my stat screen and be like, okay, do my deaths reflect the practice that I've been putting in? That is where stats are going to be useful. Other than that, don't worry about it. Don't compare stats with teammates. Don't try to put blame on anybody else. Oh, that's the next one. Let's see. Take responsibility. Take responsibility. This is definitely a team game, okay? Don't get me wrong here. There are going to be games that are just completely unwinnable because your teammates are that bad. That happens. Usually it's about 20 to 30% of the time that you lose, like the game was completely unwinnable. It's kind of rare, but it does happen. And if you take responsibility, and even in those 20 to 30% of games where it's completely unwinnable, if you say, well, these people were bad, but what could I have done? I didn't play perfect, right? Nobody plays perfect. I have people who are one above all in my server. And even in their games, they say, I made a mistake here, and I made a mistake here, and I made a mistake there. If a one above all person is saying, even in their games, they're making mistakes, I guarantee you, in Plat and Diamond, you're making a ton of mistakes. So even on games that are unwinnable, you can still focus on your gameplay, and you can take responsibility and just be like, all right, I messed up here. I wasn't using cover. I wasn't cycling my cooldowns correctly. I didn't notice that the enemy team changed their comp up to counter me. I didn't notice I wasn't doing a good job of ult tracking, right? These are all things that you can do. We're focusing on our character, not anybody else. So that's a really important one. Let's see. Along with that, focusing on like your character kind of goes hand in hand, right? You can't control. If I'm playing Captain America and I have a support playing Jeff, there is no key. There's no key on my keyboard that can let me take over the Jeff, bring them to spawn, and make them switch to Luna or whatever, right? I physically cannot do it. No magic combination is going to do it. So focus on what you can control. That's going to be super helpful. Let's see. I'm not sure what else. Let's see. Consistency, moderation, taking breaks, changing your perspective, willing to fail, purposeful practice, ignoring bad habits, ignoring stats, taking responsibility. These are all great. You can use stats, but you got to use them as a guide. The only one I find useful in low elo would be is you've got slow ults and you're wondering why. Check your damage heals. If they're low, you know why the ult is gained slowly. Yeah. And then on top of that, you have to know what to do with that information, right? So why are my damage numbers low? Is it because I play a low damage character? Is it because my uptime is too low? Why is my uptime too low? Is my uptime too low because I'm not cycling my cooldowns correctly? Am I too far out? Or is it because when I do go in, I'm getting blown up because I'm not choosing my positions carefully? Am I paying attention to my teammates? So am I just going in by myself and then I blow up instantly and then my team's still in spawn? Right? There's so many different possibilities for why your stats are the way they are. It's never a straightforward, my stats are bad because my support sucks. Like it's never the case. I promise you. Death is also important in terms of, was this death avoidable? Definitely. Yeah, for sure. What else? Humility. I want to put humility. Humility is extremely important because if you go to a coach, right? Let's say you're in Diamond. You're in Diamond 3 and you're like, man, I get to Diamond 3 and then I fall back down to Plat. I get to Diamond 3 and then I fall back down to Plat. It happens all the time. And I just feel stuck. If you go to a coach and you say that, they're going to show you mistakes in your gameplay that you can learn better. If you don't have humility and you suck it up and you give into that pride and you're like, no, I'm actually playing great. It's my teammates. The reason I can't get out of here is because teammates in Plat suck. That's going to hold you back. So humility is the opposite. It's like the antidote to ego, right? You let the ego go. You accept that you're fallible, right? You accept that your gameplay is not as good as it could be. You accept that maybe the time that you've put in isn't working right? You put in so much effort and it wasn't in the right place. All that stuff needs to be removed in your brain before you can go better, before you can get better. It's like, if you come into it thinking that you're not the problem, you're not going to rank up. So, humility, extremely important. Let's see. So these are more big topics, right? So these are like big ideas, like huge top-down way to think overall, which is great. Now let's do some like actual practices, like things you can do. Let's look at just things to do, right? So positive things to do specifically, okay? So warm-ups. Don't just jump directly into ranked. Don't just jump directly into ranked. I want you to do 2 things before you start every ranked session, okay? Not every ranked game, right? But every ranked session. I want you to come into the practice range over here and go to the lower practice range, either through the portal or down here. And it doesn't matter what character you play, you can still get value from doing this. Show up, set it on Luna Snow or whatever character you have a hard time hitting. Random short range, turn this on. Random super fast, 3. I usually turn it to random instead of advanced combat, but to each their own. And I want you to do at least 2 minutes, if not 4 minutes of this practice, where you're specifically playing the characters you're going to play, and you're practicing your combos, and you're doing it like it's in a good environment. Like if I'm playing Captain America, am I going to be standing over here and just like chasing a Luna down face to face? Like, no, I'm going to be moving around. I'm going to be trying to avoid the enemy team. Now I got my kill, I'm going to get out, right? I also don't recommend that you turn on no ability cooldown, because this is supposed to be practice that's very specific towards actually in the game. And in the game, you have cooldowns, right? So if you practice playing like Emma with no cooldowns, you're going to pop this crystal and you're going to be shooting people and it's never going to run out. And then you're going to not have the built-in habit. And then you're going to pop your crystal on somebody, and then you're going to need to reload before you can actually break the crystal, right? So here it is. I'm doing it. Good example. I have the habit of reloading. I can't even do it now because that's how it is. So that's the first thing. Come down here into practice range. The second thing is you take that specific practice into a quick play game. That's really important. Play a quick play game, because this can give you good mechanical practice, right? We're practicing aiming. We're practicing moving around, rotating our cooldowns. And then in the practice, in the quick play that you play, now you can practice paying attention to your team, using good cover, right? Practice moving in and around your team and defending, because this is great for practicing offense, getting your combos down. The other thing is great for practicing defending and getting into the mood of a ranked game. So number 1, do a warm-up. Other things we can talk about, VOD review. So I did make a whole video on how to VOD review yourself. VOD review. I made a whole video on how to VOD review yourself, but in case you don't know, you can click your portrait up here, go to history and click any one of your games, right? So I lost this game. You click play and you want to watch through. Also, very specifically, don't do this right after you lose. This needs to be a next day thing, okay? A completely new day before you do this. The time that you VOD review also needs to be you can't be VOD reviewing every loss. You want to VOD review when you're either losing a bunch in a row or you're stuck, right? You win one, you lose one, you win one, you lose one, you win 2, you lose 2, and you're just like stuck in the same exact spot. Those are the 2 times that you really want to like actually do one VOD review. And watch yourself and try to be objective. When you do VOD review, do not look at any other teammates, because you're just going to trap your brain into thinking like, I could have done better if this person did this thing. No, only look at yourself, look at all of these while we're doing it. Practice humility, take responsibility on all that stuff, right? But look for bad habits and do stuff like that. This can be like extremely useful to where you're like, oh, in the game, I didn't notice that like this was going on in my backline. You could press C and look at where everybody is standing. Like in the game, I had no idea my Moon Knight is over here, but we killed the BP, so let's go in, right? So take that good perspective and try to do things like that. Look up guides. This is really important when you're learning a new character. So, for example, I'm kind of trying to learn Black Cat a little bit. And this character is insanely complicated. So, when you look up a guide, they can tell you all of what the buttons do, right? They can tell you basic ways to go in, ways to get out, what your abilities do. A lot of the times, like the F1 button, this doesn't give you enough information. It really just doesn't. So the example I usually use is on Thing. So if you look at Thing's right click, it says deliver a devastating heavy blow that inflicts additional damage with each strike. Upon hit, gain bonus health, can knock down flying enemies, right? So this doesn't tell you when you gain the bonus health, right? So if I just click right click, I don't get any bonus health. You used to, but now you don't. So you actually get bonus health when you hit somebody, right? It doesn't tell you how much bonus health you can get. It doesn't tell you that if I hit Luna Snow once, I get 83, but if I hit Groot, I should get more, right? I get 100. So it's percentage based on, so if you hit that tanks with that, you'll get more. So learning each of your abilities and what they do is also extremely helpful. You could read the ability page from the website. So the website's also more useful as well. It goes more in depth in the game, for sure. Also, vet the people you get guides from. The people who make day one guides are shit. Yeah, never look at day one guides. Don't trust TikTok. Don't trust short videos. You want long form stuff, and you want to wait at least a week for when a character has come out, because it takes time to learn characters. Okay. Some people that I like to watch, I usually just go to Paz. Paz is he's an eternity ranked player. He actually plays the character a ton before he makes the guides. And then his guides are also very in depth. So he gives you the strengths, the weaknesses, the actual abilities of the characters. He shows you what situations in game that you can use them. And then he goes and shows you VOD reviews of high ranked gameplay. Okay. So that is what you want to aim for. Don't trust these videos. Here's a great example of like things that are still wrong. I coach a lot of Thing players, and what I see Thing players do is they'll go in with F, they'll punch, they'll do this, and then they'll try to get a kill, right? Because that's what TikTok showed when Thing came out. And now this is a huge problem. You almost never want to do that unless you're in your backline. And so I have to constantly tell people, like, no, you don't do that as Thing. You get in with your F, you do some damage, and then you get out with your shift, right? So this way, now we're actually playing the game. Things like the combos that show I could just kill somebody, like Captain America is another great example. It's like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to blow all of my cooldowns to get this combo. I don't even learn them because they can be useful, but they just get you into trouble. Don't do those, okay? So just be really careful with stuff like that. Okay, what other things to actually do? True Vanguard does make good breakdowns on what the abilities do. Do not listen to his combos. Yeah. Oh, things to do. 4. Pick. This one's gonna be a long one. Pick your based on you. Pick your character based on what you enjoy. I have so many people who are like, well, I'm in mag jail, or I want to play a DPS, but I always find myself on Rocket, right? So a couple things with this. It hasn't been 100% confirmed, but it's pretty true that the matchmaker in this game tries to take your character choice, or at least your role choice, into account when they put teams together. Okay, so on my account, I almost exclusively play tank, and so I'm always in a game where there's 2 supports and at least 2 DPS, because they're not gonna put me in a game where it expects me to play support, because I don't play support. I almost never do, right? So this is not quite true for quick play, but it is true for comp. So be careful. The more you play a character or role you don't enjoy, the more the matchmaker is going to assume that you're okay with playing that, and it's going to put you in opportunities to do that, because that's how it goes. They try to set up matches based on like quickness, right? They try to put matches together really quick. So yeah, take that how it is. At the same time though, if you really like the Penny, you know, character in the comics, but you play her and it's really slow and you don't like playing the character, then don't play the character, right? Do it based on what you actually enjoy. So if you're trying to pick a character, I would just jump into quick play. I would pick a character and I would try them out. And then you can watch the guide, and you can watch like how top level people tend to play, and see if that's something for you, right? If it's not something for you, then don't play that character. Don't like be stuck on mag jail because you want to win. It's not worth it, because you're gonna burn yourself out, and then you're not gonna enjoy the game, and it'll feel like a job instead of I'm playing a game for fun. On top of that, I want to go back up to this one for a second. Don't worry about wins and losses. Don't worry about wins and losses. Wins, it's real. Let's see. There are so many different factors that contribute to a win and a loss. Okay? If you're so focused on winning that A, you're not having fun, B, you're not in the character you like or the role that you like, C, you're actually upset, like you're getting really angry at your teammates, then like, what's the point? This is a video game after all. It is more fun to win, but at the same time, you should have fun losing anyway. And this is a matchmaker system, right? There's elo involved, and the ideal matchmaker system is if you win, you go up. If you lose, you go down. And if you play enough games, you should reach an equilibrium of 50-50, right? Where you win half the games and you lose half the games. Because that means the matchmaker has placed you with other people of your skill level, okay? So that means if you play 10 games, you're supposed to lose 5 of them, and that's normal. That's okay. If you get super focused on the wins and the losses, you're going to start developing bad habits. You're going to cheap out. You're going to start getting into your emotions, getting angry. You're going to find yourself on mag jail just because you want to win. You don't want to play. You want to win. You're going to be stuck on rocket. You're going to be doing things that like you don't really enjoy just to get that W. And it's not worth it. Long term, if you play the character you enjoy, if you learn, if you don't worry about failing, and if you lose, you're just going to you're going to go up faster, right? Like, let that stuff go, accept the losses, and in the wins and in the losses, both of them, instead of focus on the W or the L, focus on your own mistakes. Did I make mistakes? Those are things that you can control. Wins and losses, half the time, are just out of your control. So, like, let it go. Not gonna lie, Cub, where's the rest of our chat? It's kind of empty here. I don't know. I was expecting more people here, but today people are quiet, which is funny. Hey, what's up, Caesar? Speaking of which, we're learning how to improve. That's easy. 1, blame EOMM. 2, blame your teammates. 3, never adjust your comp to the enemy team. 4, watch nothing but tech shorts, especially on chat combos. Yo, what's up, Churro? How's it going? My goodness. Caesar, you just came in and like said the opposite of like everything that we said. You just got Exodiant. Nice. How did that go? We're going over best habits for improving. So if I mean that's like most of it. That's most of what I wanted, unless you guys want to come up with anything else. Did I like not do any damage? It went fine. It was a lot of the stuff that I already knew were weak areas. Oh. Bro, that does so little damage. One more is to be aware of what you do as intent. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Be intentional. Okay, this one's really important. So a lot of the times we see on a character like Cloak, so I want to say be intentional with everything. All right. So if you're playing, we'll go back to our magic scenario. I am playing magic. My intention is to go into their backline and I'm gonna kill a support and I'm gonna get out. That's my intention. And then you go do it, right? It also applies to other aspects of really small things. It's like with Cloak and Dagger, we see a lot of the times Cloak and Daggers will sit here and they'll just hold left click. And like all these bots are full health, but they're still holding left click. And you'll see they're healing, full health person. Oh, this person needs help. Now I only have 2 shots. Now I need to reload, and then they're dead, right? Same thing with your windows. Be intentional with what you're using them for, right? So can I use bubble to heal these guys? Technically, yes. If this is a Hulk and I throw the bubble, he's just going to jump out of the bubble, right? So it doesn't fulfill the intention. And we can use the window, and then as he jumps, you know, we keep following him. Be intentional with everything you do, with all of your abilities, with your just basic primary fire and secondary fire, with your plans ahead of time, things like that. That's great. Good stuff, Jake. Oh, value. We haven't talked about value. So value is a really interesting concept. It comes into play with characters like Angela and Captain America. People do not understand that value does not just come from getting a kill, okay? That is great value, don't get me wrong, but you can get value in alternative ways. So, easy example, value is not tied to MVP or SV and thus not the stats. Absolutely. So, we'll give you an easy example. Let's just say we have our front line here, we have a Magneto, right? And then we have some DPS here, and then we have some supports. And then they have a front line here, and then they have a DPS here, and then they have some supports, right? If I'm playing Angela, and I run right through the front, and I get killed, and I'm helping my team, or I don't get killed, but I'm helping my team, and we're just doing stuff here, I am not going to get the value out of this character that I could be, right? I'll be attacking a Groot and a Magneto, and then I'm not like actually moving them or doing anything. I'm just getting damage. So I'll have higher stats than what I'm about to say, but I won't be getting as good a value. If I stay over here and then I show up and I literally just attack like the Luna once and then fly off, and then the Magneto turns around, bubbles the Luna turns around and starts shooting me, and the Invis tries to pull me back. After the Invis pulls me back, now I use this, right? The value that I've gotten in terms of stats, I've done way less damage, right? But I've taken 3 people from the enemy backline, and now they're all looking at me. So there's a 3v1 going on over here, and now my team has 5 people versus the 3 people up front, right? So value for my team. That's what you want. That's how divers work. So if you... like, it's just so important. So try to understand that, like, there are different ways from getting value outside of just getting kills. Pulling people's attention away is a great way to get value. Canceling people's ult and stopping them from getting value is a great way to do it. Stuff like that. That's really critical for anyone playing dive, but good advice for anyone to avoid staggering. Definitely. Also, if you want to talk about value as well, a great one is any type of CC, right? To get the maximum value out of your ability, you have to use it at the right time for the right reason, right? So Hulk has Exile, right? Duh. He can freeze people. A lot of the times, myself included in this, Hulks will just throw out their Exile in neutral, freeze somebody for 2 seconds. You get 1% towards your ult, and then you have a 15-second cooldown, okay? That's can be decent value at the very beginning of the game. That's probably the best value you're going to get, right? Now 15 seconds has passed. Now I have my Exile. Now do the same thing at the middle of the game, right? So you throw out the Exile. Now we're attacking. And then 7 seconds later, Doctor Strange jumps into your backline and ults your backline, okay? It would be really nice to have an Exile. Like, look at the value I got from 2 seconds of freezing somebody on the enemy front line versus freezing and ulting Strange on my backline, right? So looking for best ways to get value out of each one of your abilities. Same thing goes with like Hulk's right click, right? If I just throw this out, I get some damage. Great. If I throw this out after I use my bubble, I get some damage and I get 1 second cooldown reduction on my bubble. Okay? So good. Like, so maximizing the value of like each one of your abilities. It's a really difficult thing to do. A way to do it is you start in the practice range, you look at what each one of your abilities do, and then you pick one ability, right? Just one. So if I'm playing Torch, I'm going to pick one of these abilities. Let's just say my F, right? My F ability. I'm going to pick one, and for the next set of games, like I'm going to play like 5 quick play games, I'm going to focus solely on the F button. I'm still going to play, but I'm going to be consciously thinking about like, okay, I used F in this scenario and I got a lot of value. I want to use it in that scenario again. Or I used F in this scenario, got myself killed and had negative value. I'm not going to do that again. And then you do that with each one of your abilities. You do that with F, you do that with E, you do that with your movement, you do that with your right click, your primary fires, right? You do that with your ultimate, everything, and you work at them one at a time, each one, and that's how you build character knowledge. Did my action change the conditions of the fight at all? Is a good question to ask. Definitely. So that like goes in with value, right? And a lot of the times it's hard to see that value. Let's see. Along with value, don't give negative value, which is essentially positive value to the enemy team, right? So if you're playing Squirrel Girl or Iron Man or something like that, and you're just spamming damage, you got to think of the negative value that you're getting, right? In a game, these people are getting healed. So if you're just doing junk damage and you already have your ult, that junk damage is charging the support ults of the enemy team, right? But you're actually getting worse value by spamming down Vayne because you're not getting anything because you already have your ult. And then the enemy team is getting their support ults back quicker. So that's another example of like negative value. Let's see. Does anybody have anything else? I think that's mostly it, right?
Where there is evil in this universe, I will be there to balance it.
Oh, let's see. Work with what you have. So this is a great part that like really good players will do. So if I'm playing Hulk, right, I know I usually take a lot of damage. And if on my team I have a invisible woman and a Luna, or an invis and a cloak, or like triple support with like these 3 or something, right? I know I can just take a lot of damage and I can play normally. Now let's change that to where I have a Jeff and an Adam or something right like that, right? That is my team. Again, I can't press a button on the keyboard and magically make my Adam switch over to invisible woman. There's no button that exists, right? So I'm going to plan around what I actually have. I'm going to take shorter engagements. I'm going to take less damage. Maybe I'll even switch to Captain America, right? So we have another supportal that's not just Adam Rez. I'm going to play a different play style to do what I have. If I have a Mantis on my team, I'm going to be a little more aggressive and try to go for kills and hope that the damage boost is enough to get there. And I'm not going to play the poke slow play style that comes along with it that takes a lot of damage because she can't heal as much, right? So you work with what you have, not with what you want. Negative. I remember the Invis pushing enemy Venom into the safety net of his Luna ult. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Picking up a character to fill a specific need. Oh. I want to put that down. Let's see. So when you're running into a problem, right? You're losing a game or you're losing a lot of games. I want you to change the playstyle first, not the character, right? A lot of these characters, you can do multiple different things with them. You can play differently. On Magic, you can frontline and brawl a little bit, you can peel a little bit, and you can dive, right? Same thing with Thor. Dude, even on Magneto, there's different play styles between Magnetos. A lot of people just poke and play the front line, the slow and patient game. Take Magneto and just go flank with Magneto. Just try it, right? You never know. It can work. We've seen it. So, if something's going wrong, change your play style first. Take your character and put them in a different situation that you're not used to and just try it. See what happens. It can work. If at the end you're like, okay, I'm playing Hulk. I tried frontlining. It didn't work. I tried diving their back line. Now they have a ton of peel. It didn't work. I tried this. It's not working. Now let's change, right? Now I'll try Emma. I'll try Angela. I'll try whatever, right? But I always prefer people change their playstyle first, then their character. Because that avoids the trap of what we were talking about earlier with pick your character based on what you enjoy. If you change your character right away, you're going to fall into the trap of like, well, I'm just going to play what works, right? And then you're not having fun. Whereas if you take a fun character that you already enjoy and play them a little differently, that will increase your, fun value. Mag does really respectable poke damage if you can actually hit your shots. And if you can hit the combos, more sudden kill potential from downtown than any other tank, I guess. Maybe. I mean, Strange and Emma can both do that. It is interesting, though. And so can Tank Pool. Unless the nerf was significant enough.
I was always meant to be a soldier.
Understanding weaknesses. So, if you understand weaknesses, this goes twofold. So understand the weaknesses of the character that you enjoy and you as a person, right? My weakness on Hulk is CC, right? CC destroys Hulk. I think not being able to get in destroys Hulk, and I think people being like patient destroys Hulk. Okay, like teamwork can really shut down Hulk. Now my weakness as a person, I get bored easily, so I don't take my time. I want to be active and make plays when sometimes I need to be like, I need to wait and be reactive and wait for the play to happen. So like I said, if I throw out my exile because I'm trying to make a play and go in, now all of a sudden there's somebody in my backline that I could have exiled to save my team, and I miss out on that. So if I understand my own weakness as a player and the weaknesses of my character, I'm going to go a lot farther because understanding it now now that we understand it, we can work around it. I can remind myself mid-game to be like, oh, I'm starting to get impatient. I'm going in too quick, right? I'm going in too quick. I'm using my abilities way too aggressively. Things like that. Who's gonna say, it was poorly worded, but I was thinking from range. Strange needs to be on top of you. Emma is complicated between her beam damage and potential for a grab combo. Tank pool is pretty harsh damage for the last past few years. Okay, that's fair. I have seen Magneto just delete people. So, yeah. So let's go back and let's just review real quickly. So we have, these are overarching concepts of good habits to build for your brain to work. Like, be consistent, have moderation, don't just stay up all night every night like bashing your head against the wall. Take breaks often. Take short breaks after emotional losses where you go outside, take 10 to 15 minutes, get some water, something like that. Take long breaks whenever the game feels like a job, whenever it's boring, whenever you're not having fun, whenever you're in a rut. Take a weekend, take a full week, step away from the game. It'll help you a lot. Change your perspective. Be willing to fail whenever you pick a new character or whenever you try a new strategy. Have purposeful practice. Make sure you are practicing with intention. Ignore bad advice, specifically from teammates in the middle of a game or enemies in the middle of a game. Just mute them and move on. Ignore stats. We talked about that one a lot. Take responsibility. If you blame other people, you're never going to go up. Along with that goes humility, right? Be willing to fail. Don't worry about win-loss. It's not important. Just focus on what you did to help your team. Just that. Don't worry about the end result. Here are things to actually do, right? Make sure you warm up before you go into a ranked game. Make sure you VOD review. Check out your mistakes the next day. Things like that. Look up guides for your character. Make sure they're long-term guides from people you trust and they're not just combo videos. Pick your character based on what you enjoy. Be really intentional with all of your abilities. Understand value comes in different ways. Work with what you have. Change your playstyle within your character, and then understand weaknesses. Sure, I understand this fun you're talking about. I was under the impression that Rivals is a game about verbal abuse and winning. Yeah. Oh. This is kind of fun. Oh, dead. Maybe? Huh. Alright, but yeah, anyway, that's going to be it for this YouTube video. I hope this helps you get better at Marvel Rivals. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if there's anything I missed, anything you disagree with on. But yeah, take care. God bless. Catch you guys next time. Bye.